Good evening and welcome to another episode of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. We got a lot to talk about tonight, a lot going on that we hadn't really been able to discuss so far in the UPSL and WPSL and some lower league action that our man Harry is going to get us all caught up with. And I don't know, Rafa, are you feeling a little bit better about San Antonio FC after the last couple results?
Uh, After what I watched on last week, we let 3 points slip away, and like I said, we got another rivalry game. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully we can get some payback. But like I said, can't not counting my chickens yet, but like I said, we'll see. We'll give the boys to be inspired to win one for the fans at least, and have some pride.
Well,
We'll see on Wednesday night.
We'll see on Wednesday, another Wednesday night matchup, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. So far, though, this season, Austin really getting the better of us both times there in Austin. So,
It's
they're
not
going to
even Austin. It's the state of Texas. We're 0 for Texas.
Oh for Texas. Copa Tejas is not looking very good right now, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. Harry, how are you doing this evening? Are you a UPSL expert? We're going to change your little tag down there from saying at Ramen Cool to you are UPSL expert.
Well, I think I'm finally rehydrated after the triple header on, what was it, Saturday? So
I saw that, man. You're like, where's Borowski _Scott? Delete.
Scott's like, nowhere to be found. delete. No, but it was fun. I was glad. I got to go out to Old Pearsall Park and where Sporty plays and see their setup. And I like what they did from what it used to be, but it's a funky setup here. We'll say here. They got because they do a lot of 7-on-7 matches out there. So on the field, they got a wire that goes across. So if you kick the ball high, kind of like hitting with the mega video or mega whatever you call it at Jerry's World.
Mm-hmm. The Jumbotron?
The Jumbotron. You can hit the wire, and it did happen.
Wait, so they have a wire running across the field? Is it like in 4-on-4 where you can't kick the ball above the waist height? Or what do you mean by a wire?
What they do is they put a netting going across the field. So what they'll do is they'll divide the field in half, kind of like you half court in basketball or volleyball, that type of stuff. So they got a wire that goes across. But if you're playing the long ways on the field, to try to play 11-on-11. It was right
there. In the middle of the pitch. Yeah, no, I see now what you're talking about. I was like, man, I've never seen a wire across a soccer field in all my life.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. And I understand from what they're trying to do. Sure. And like I said, I've checked out some of their site here, and like I said, they offer weekly camps that you can go out for $35, which I was like, hey, but then you look at the registration fee is $60, and you're like, oh,
those registration fees.
Yeah, it's one of those, but. It was a fun time, and then we did the double. Last week we did the double header at Samba. This week we did the double header at Alamo Ranch, and that was the 4:00 with the UPSL ladies. And as we all know, 4:00 here in San Antonio is the coolest part of the day. We'll say so.
Well, and you even commented on the turf, like that you didn't just really realize the temperature difference between playing on turf and playing on grass and that type of heat.
Yeah, I never had, and so AJ, of course, picked up, a friend, they were out playing on the fields in the back, and so me and Anna went over to play, and you could, and I was just wearing regular tennis shoes, and I've heard cleats are probably even a little bit thinner, I guess, especially because you're not playing with. You're playing with indoor cleats probably on a field like that, not a grass field cleats where they got the bottoms that can dig in. So, but yeah, it was even AJ's like, Dad, my feet are hot. I was like, yeah, that's the problem with turf. That's what you hear. And he's like, well, how hot do you think it is? I was like, well, it's probably 95, 94, here. So you figure their turf's 105, 110, somewhere around there.
And a lot of times, man, you'd be surprised. It's really probably closer to 115, 120 even sometimes when it gets really hot. And I know that just from working there with the Cowboys at Cowboys Stadium. They're old, and then open it all up and everything. And Yeah, you get some pretty hot readings.
But but what I liked, with the Sporty is they have most of their stuff in the evening. So, which is nice because there's not a lot of shelter out there, and obviously, I don't know if you've ever been out to Old Pearsall Park, but it's on the fight where they used to have fields that kind of fell apart, and they to me it's almost like a mini star complex, with the exception that it's the turf fields, and it's really geared 7-on-7. And I guess if you look at the Sporty website, they're out of Mexico, so they've got that kind of basis on there. So I thought it was interesting, and especially for Sporty, and it was we have another bone to pick as far as playing Bay Area Oilers twice in one day at different locations, but the teams agreed to it. So.
Well, every time you say Old Pearsall Park, I keep thinking about Old Town Road, and it's driving me crazy right now because that song's stuck in my head. But,
so that'll be the opening song.
Yeah, that's like I guess we'll have to throw that into the podcast every time you say Old Pearsall Park or something like that. So.
Dude, my son sings that song all the time now. I'm like, what are you singing? Oh, Dad, da 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 da. So
the struggle is real. Well, walk us through some of the results and everything, man. I know for the men's here, a lot of the teams, or not a lot of the teams, but some of the teams have already wrapped up kind of their season now. So we'll get into a little bit of the playoff picture.
We normally start off with the ladies, but this time because the men's is pretty much done with the exception of the playoffs. The only match in town was the Corinthians. They had two of them. The first one was at 9:00 at the Sporty at 1:00, and then later on in the evening at Blossom they played to a 2-2 draw for that. But that was good enough for the Corinthians to finish second in there. So the playoffs, and they're actually semi going on right now. It's kind of a mixture with UPSL. In the Heart, you've got Waco and Coyotes, who's up 2-1. They started playing on Saturday, but they had a weather delay, and they kicked off at 8 p.m. And by the time that we're recording, because it's Monday evening, they may already be done with that one there, so we'll know who advances. The South has the Corinthians and Houston FC. Checked with UPSL. As of yet, that match has not been scheduled, which is kind of surprisingly. I would assume it has to be done in the next couple of days. And then up north, you got the Battle of Oklahoma, where you got Oklahoma City and then Reign FK at John Kane. They're going to play tomorrow at 7. So if you're looking at the bracket there, the winner between the Oklahoma matches is going to play the winner between the Heart, and then in the South, Inocentes, which was the lowest first place seeded team, will have the winner of either Houston FC or the Corinthians for that here. Then those winners will then head either to runners or Alameda, and the runners have the first seed here. Alameda from the South. They don't have a set bracket, so it's supposed to be whoever's closest by distance. So that'll be interesting depending on who wins that second round of matches to see who the runners play. And then the winner of that match, the round 3, will play in a conference championship. Now, to me, what's kind of crazy about this, and I know it's something that I don't think the league really liked, but they're kind of roped into it with all the delays. They have to be done by the 18th. So you're talking about where you really got 17 days to get these playoffs in, because on the 21st, they'll be playing the winner of the Southwest playoffs in order to see who gets to go to your neck of the woods for the UPSL National Playoff Tournament there in
Weatherford,
Fort Worth area. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I noticed they're playing that at Kangaroo Stadium. I think we actually had some playoff games out there for Weatherford ISD. I think they do a lot of the tournament games out there.
Is it really Fort Worth? Because to me, when I looked at the map, it looked like it was a distance away.
It's Weatherford. Yeah, it's not Fort Worth. It's Weatherford.
But when they say it's Fort Worth, but then you look at it and it's probably 30 minutes, half hour out,
southwest of Fort Worth or whatever. But that's one thing, people that aren't from DFW, everything's either Dallas or Fort Worth, when it's really not. It's 45 minutes outside of that. But you say Weatherford, I might as well say Waxahachie for all that means for all you San
But
Antonio.
at least
folks.
Waxahachie's a little bit closer, right?
Yeah, well, it's closer to Dallas, probably. Yeah, true, than what Weatherford is to Fort
Because you just
Worth.
go down like through
35.
Mansfield and stuff through there.
Yeah, but well, so that'll be interesting to kind of see how that playoff all shakes out there for the runners. You know, they had a little bit of time now to rest, and that's not always a good thing. I know Coach Rankin was kind of hoping for a scrimmage or something
game.
like that to get the juices going back for the guys before playing in their playoff match. So if you're watching the show and you have a competitive team that, you know, maybe wanted to scrimmage against the runners, let us know. I'm happy to reach out to Coach Rankin and everything and see what we can do to maybe set that up and get some training in there. So
If not, I, Scott, and Rafa will have to go out there, and you don't want to see that.
shoot, I had to play against Rafa's team, man. That was bad enough. Now you want me to play against the runners? Golly, first the Athenians, and you just throw me under the bus, Harry.
Hey, I volunteered myself too. So.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what shakes up with the tournament. Like you say, we've got the FC Wacos and Coyotes FC going on right now, so hopefully we can kind of find that result. And then the Runners versus Corinthians will be a very interesting kind of derby, however you want to pronounce it, here in San Antonio. You know, two teams that we really didn't get to see play each other due to the fact that they were competing in different conferences. So I think that's kind of the matchup I'm hoping for, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Where will those games take place as far as the playoffs? Will they go home and home, or?
No, it's a single round. Especially they don't have enough time home and home, so it would. From in speaking with Mason, it sounds like that he's got the UTSA fields locked up, or he doesn't have the same concerns that he had last year, where the school shut down and he had to go elsewhere. He said this, at least for this season, for this playoff season, that there's no worry with that. So as long as they keep winning, they should be hosting.
Which is the greatest part.
Corinthians, I guess that's the issue. They're trying to. I'm assuming that's the delay. They're trying to find a stadium. You'd expect, right? Because there's no other reason why it hasn't already been announced that they played at 11 or they had theirs wrapped up on Saturday, but the Houston FC played a 11 o'clock game on Sunday, so you figure probably mid-afternoon. They had it. We're at close of business now on Monday. They should have had a side already set up, in my opinion. And I think it's one of the things that makes you kind of scratch your head on from a league and from a team's perspective, because I'm assuming this is a lot of driven by the team. Is they've got to have their sights up, and especially where you're talking about they've got 2.5 weeks to get this done. They got to start lining these stuff up a little bit sooner for
Hang on, Harry.
What happened?
We're having
IT
some
can
audio
grow out of
issues
control.
here. I apologize.
Taking on a life of
Anyways, I'm sorry about that, buddy. Go ahead.
So to switch to the ladies for here. So the Athenians played Houston Aces in Houston. They lost 5-2 this time. It was a little bit more competitive game from the very first game that they played, is my understanding on it. But the Aces, as we've discussed all year, are just at a different level, unfortunately, over the teams. They do play Austin Elite, FC Austin Elite. It will be played at Bold Stadium this Saturday on the 6th. It's free. I know I'm gonna go up there and take the kids, and even the wife's coming to go out to see that one. They are trying to see about getting an attendance record. Me and Scott kind of wonder how legitimate it is, but it's Austin, where they like to make up records. So,
like that they have the best tacos, they just make up stats.
So, but no, I think it'll be a good time, and I'm looking forward to, all jokes aside, getting together with some of the Austin Anthem guys, some of the Bold supporters. I know they're going to be out there. I know some of the Crocketeers may be heading up. I know Thomas, unfortunately, has got a prior engagement. He's heading down to a coast where he's got a deck that's being dedicated to him, so that's well earned. So, congrats to Thomas on that. So, But if you do have Saturday on the 6th there, like I said here, they are trying to get a crowd over 2,000, which would set a United Women's Soccer League, which then next year we'll have to break it. But I think it'd be a good time. And to me, and I'm assuming this, I saw Scott's Twitter message already. So I think it'll be a good way to kind of help bridge some of the Twitter fighting, because I met some of the fans from Austin, and they're just as passionate as we are, and over a few beers, and everybody's good friends.
Was that Twitter fighting?
Not yet, but you put out a poll that will prompt some Twitter fighting.
Well, I should have changed that poll question. It should have been, who has a better shot at Austin Bold Stadium, San Antonio FC or San Antonio Athenians? Because that might have been the better poll question. Rafa, who you taking? Who wins at Austin Bold Stadium, Athenians or SAC?
Well, we're 0-2, so I think it's...
Yeah, the San Antonio FC is going to have to wait till next year. unless we get in the playoffs and play Austin in the playoffs.
That might have been the better poll question there. But yeah, so that's kind of where everything stands with the women's and the UWS.
For the UWS, although there was one interesting thing, I sent a message to the Athenians to try to get confirmation. Supposedly, if they finish second, they may be able to make the playoffs out of a 4-team conference. Last year, there was only one team that got in on it, but I guess this year they're going to do 2 out of 4. So supposedly playoffs are on the line with FC Austin and the Athenians.
So I wonder if they would just do it then. Let's say the Athenians do win and they do take the 2 teams. Would the Athenians then just play the Aces and the winner of that game would advance?
I can't get clarified.
Okay.
I can't. They didn't respond back to me, so
okay.
I'm not on their go-to list. I'm not the
UPSL expert,
soccer expert.
Not the UWS.
We got to find another role.
Where's Los Rojas?
So they're over in France.
Damn it.
At the World Cup. So.
I was just wondering if we need like another one of these little like pyramid things for their playoff system, or if it was just more like kind of,
But I did find that interesting, because all year long I'd been saying that, hey, the playoffs are already over because Houston, had a clear demanding league, and they're the best team. But they tweeted out that it's for a playoff spot, but I can't, and unfortunately I can't find any confirmation on what the playoff setup is. So
okay, cool. Well, we'll get some confirmation on that for everybody and all that good stuff.
So quickly for UPSL ladies, the WPSL ladies, Blossoms beat Alamo City. They play TTI, which is their last game of the year, on the 3rd. And then Alamo City, lost to the Blossoms, but then they also lost to TTI 4-0 over there. In UPSL ladies, Sporty beat Samba 3-1 in a pretty festive game, from my understanding. So Sporty's, I think, almost locked into the playoffs. And Samba and Alamo City play July 7th, I believe it is. I have to double check here. But Samba and Alamo City play. I want to say it's the 7th that they play, with pretty much the playoffs on the line for that one, to see who plays Sporty for that here. So for there, and I got to see Alamo City beat Coyotes, who played with, I guess when the game started, they had about 7 players that showed up, but by the time the game really got going, they had 10. So the Coyotes played man down all game. So for it to only be 2-0, that was a heck of an effort, by those ladies. And if Adam's listening, he was the AR on the side that we wore. He said to say the refs were awesome, so he did a great job. So I guess him and Kyle know each other from back in the day. So
gotcha.
It was fun kind of getting to chit chat with him. And he's like, "Hey, just say the refs were awesome." I was like, "Will do." So checkpoint that.
So it looks like the Blossoms are basically out of playoff contention there for the WPSL. Is that pretty much accurate then?
Yeah,
at this point?
it's the 2 teams over
TTI and the Royals.
Yeah, and they've been the class of the class of the division as well. It's hasn't even been close. So
gotcha
for that here, but yeah. So for WPSL, I don't think that as far any of the San Antonio teams are going to be seeing any postseason action.
The UPSL women saw some postseason action, though.
UPSL will be Sporty and the winner of Samba and Alamo City. So that will be decided because the Coyotes are already out for it here. Yeah, and it's 7-7 for another 4 p.m. game at Wheatley. I don't know why they like playing 4 o'clock, especially on 2 local teams. But,
to make you sweat.
Well, it's at Wheatley too, so to make it even worse,
drive an hour to go sweat.
Yeah, but maybe I can get a press pass with Coach John.
AC. Coach Rexrow, please.
Please.
For
that hair, but yeah, and like I said here, so Sporty is pretty much locked in the playoffs, and like I said here, the second one who gets to play will come down between Samba and Alamo City. So. And that wraps up this weekend, right? Yeah, the 7th. So
shoot, that wraps up the UPSL season, the WPSL season, the UWS season, and takes us into the playoffs. Good job there, Harry. I gotta say, man, this last season, dude, you've really taken the ropes on the UPSL action and making sure that you knew everything that was going on with that. And I really appreciate it, man. Like I say, it's been a huge help. Yeah, to San Antonio Soccer as well. So I know the people watching and stuff like that, they love getting the updates for the UPSL. So thank you for keeping up with that.
Yeah, no worries now. So I guess that turns it to Rafa's category, where he's all experts on San Antonio FC to tell us what is working and what's not.
Not everything. Not a lot is working. We can say penalty kicks, passing, the field crew.
Oh my God,
the field crew, man. That's a.
I think that I was coming into the game, seeing that pitch, especially for a rivalry game, we want to show a good impression to the other teams, but I kind of found that a little embarrassing.
Dude, it's the sandbox. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's tennis.
That is the nickname of Toyota Field now. It's the sandbox.
The sandbox.
It is.
Well, in Susie's defense now, so let's give this topic the credit it deserves. So I think everybody knows what we're talking about. I don't think anybody didn't not see the sandbox either in pictures on TV or at the game.
I had national writers sending messages to me saying, "Harry, what the F is wrong with your field?"
So the grass that they use is a transition from their winter grass to their summer grass because they have to use 2 different types of grass here in San Antonio for the pitch. And apparently the summer grass doesn't realize it's summer yet and is not taking off and growing. And so apparently that's been the issue because I couldn't figure out like what would cause that. I've actually started researching.
It got too wet. So it's too hot for the winter grass. But it's too wet and we haven't had like the big flood storms like we normally get. It's just been that nice soft, rain. But that soft rain, I guess, is what's really screwing it up because Royce is who I go to on this, and I don't know his background, but he seems to know, and it's a plausible.
I don't know how many professional soccer pitches he's been responsible for.
So, but.
No, just but
it makes sense.
Yeah,
and it's not just him that says it, but he's the one that I go to, and Larry, from POG, has also kind of confirmed it, and we've heard it before. It hasn't. To me, this usually happens March, April-ish time frame, not at the end of June, July. And not to this extent. And I wonder if that's the reason why is because we've really kind of had a mild summer so far, where it hasn't been super hot, but it's but you've had enough of the rains that I think it's once every couple of weeks we're getting rains.
Oh, it's been crazy. Yeah, the amount of rainfall. I mean, I
think we're expecting more. I think for the game too.
Tomorrow. Yes. So. In their defense, it has been like a crazy, not just with the rain and everything, but like you said, not really kind of for June, this is pretty mild compared to what we normally see.
But when you've got El Paso players, and I'm sure it's coming from El Paso players, but we were all there. The ball wasn't rolling straight. It was a bump. It was a bump. You had the El Paso player that he got knocked out, and was subbed off right away. From a hard fall, in the box, and hit his head on the turf, and when you're seeing people run and you're seeing sand coming up behind them, it's just,
it was pretty bad. Yeah, it was.
It was an embarrassment.
I don't know how different that game is, though. You know what I mean? Like, do you think the result changes on a perfect pitch there, Rafa?
Yeah.
It affected a bit because you can tell some of the passes were not crisp. People were slipping.
They didn't have their footing.
Yeah, they didn't have their footing, and I'm surprised they didn't change. The guys didn't try to change to a longer cleat to kind of get more of a grip. But you can tell it was affecting them, and just sending the ball down. Like Harry said, we were watching sand puff come up every time they would run.
And it was all over the field. It wasn't just at a certain
one area.
It was all over the field that you could see them going from left to right, up and down, and it was equal play. It was
equal for both teams.
The field conditions were equal for both. So
I guess my question is those with the style of play that San Antonio FC really plays, where it's the deep ball into the corner. Does the pitch conditions affect them as much as, say, like a team that it works the ball a lot with the ticky-tacky type stuff? You know what I mean?
Well, El Paso does that. El Paso's more of a possession-based team.
And that's what I mean.
They weren't able to do that this game.
Exactly. So
they had roles reversed this year, this game, because I noticed El Paso was trying to play more of the long ball.
Mm-hmm.
San Antonio was playing more of the possession, so I don't know if that had to be because of the pitch. The El Paso felt uncomfortable. It's like, we can't play. Let's just go play the long ball. Maybe because that's worked against us.
Mm-hmm.
They had a different game plan from what I've seen them play some other games. For us, I noticed we're passing the ball more than normally, just kicking it up and hopefully get under somebody and then shoot it in. Kind of like the little kickball style, but.
Outside of the PK, do you remember any scoring chances for either team? I don't.
No. I guess that one save from Cardoni, that was about it. That was the only save he made, really the save. But as far as the whole game, no one really had really good chances besides, the PK. We had some opportunities to shoot shots from outside. That's a thing that I'm kind of scratching my head is, why aren't we shooting from the outside?
Mm-hmm.
We have the players to shoot the ball from the outside. The younger players like Gallegos and Ethan they're not afraid to shoot the ball from outside. It's the older players. You're just kind of wondering, hey, why are you trying to take it all the way into the box? You have the foot, shoot it from outside. If it rebounds outside, someone's going to kick it back in.
I think that was the thing that frustrated me is you could see them where they had that opening and they wouldn't pull the trigger. And then, El Paso closed it up pretty quick.
Well, and we talked about, too, communication and lack thereof, on the defensive end between Cardoni and the back line. But, I don't know if you guys saw it in the match versus El Paso, but you talk about miscommunication. You saw Billy and Guzman weren't even on the same page, with some of the runs and stuff like that they were making. And so I feel like that's not an issue that's just unique to the back line. But you see other areas where it seems like there's just a lack of communication, where you've got two players that are just sitting there bitching at each other, for lack of a better word, because, they're on different pages and things like that. So, I mean, you talk about kind of the young guns versus the veterans, Rafa. It's interesting that you brought it up because, I'd almost love to see, and maybe I'll request this from our own Chris Hockman, but a breakdown of just kind of how some of our younger players have performed versus some of our veterans, and I know that's going to be skewed a little bit there in terms of goals and things like that because of Guzman and the number of minutes that some of the veterans see. But I feel like in the last couple matches, our younger players have almost performed better than what we've seen, or created more chance than what we've seen from some of our veterans.
Even the substitutions were kind of like, talked to Harry, we're a little kind of questionable, and we're trying to win this game. And we ended up, trying to play for a tie. Like, what are we doing?
Well, when Barmby got sent off, and
yeah.
I don't think that call was a deserving second yellow.
Yeah.
He embellished it. Now, whether he dove or not, I don't think he did. I know Phil Bucky from El Paso, he thought it was a straight dive, and Barmby knew it, and that's why he didn't put up any reaction. But that's Barmby. He got called, and it was borderline. I'll give you that, but I think you got to know time and place as a ref. Unfortunately, I have to take back the good ref at the UPSL. This guy,
that guy was horrible, man. I mean, he almost started a fight out there between the keeper. I mean, the keeper threw a hand in his face, I think, and punched the ref. And I was like, you're not going to card a player who just shoved you? Like, it's ridiculous.
But you could say that every week. So it's beating a dead horse at this point. But to me, like I said here, that the thing that frustrated me, you're at home, we're in 16th, 15th place. 1 point, is that really? What are we playing for? It's you got a point at home, but
it's the clapper, man. Jason Garrett, good job, boys.
It felt like a loss. That's what It wasn't really a win for El Paso because they should have lost that game. We should have made that PK. We had other chances, but some of the substitutions were kind of. I know Barbie being red carded. We had to kind of play a little bit back, but I think we could have gone in with somebody else up front, fresh legs, to at least pressure a little bit more. So you notice towards the end, El Paso was getting inside in our area, even getting by. There was one play that Akon got lucky that he didn't, or there's topping the score, didn't get the foot on the ball and shoot. That's what it's coming down to is what's Powell doing as far as what is he seeing out there as far as the substitutions. Are there the right moves? To me this game, he kind of made bad substitutes. For this game, like for example, putting in one of the younger players for Pekka. What can we put LaHood in? LaHood has more experience.
Well, and what I find so interesting too, and I remember this from talking to Michael Reed and stuff like that back when he was still on the squad a couple years ago, is just how much that situation has changed. Because like when Michael Reed was on the team, everybody was asking, why isn't Devin Vega in? Why isn't Devin Vega in? Because that's when he was our young star, or whatever that was up and coming, and everybody was mad that he wasn't getting minutes. And it was, well, do you think a young player like that's really earned their role over a veteran player that's in the locker room? Like we had at that time, just veteran players.
But you don't have that now, though.
And that's my point, is you don't have that now, because 2 years ago, guys like Devin Vega weren't getting shots because they had to earn it, to get on there. And now you hear that some of these younger kids are getting the minutes because they've earned that spot. But, I know Devin might have had some off-the-field issues, but you're telling me 2 years ago Devin didn't earn the spot? You know what I mean? Like, it's just an entirely different dynamic now with the young talent.
Here was the subs. It was Gallegos for Pirano. So, to me, hey, they're two young guys, 58th minute. You had the red card in the 63rd minute, and then this is the one that I kind of question. So you take out Guzman and you put in Ibusi. You threw there. And then the one that Rafa's talking about, you took out Pekka and you put in Price.
Yeah, and those are two that, the last two there, I don't get at all. I agree with you guys completely. I think Gallegos for Pirano, he's been playing very well. I have no issue with that. Similar style player, as far as being able to create chances. But, yeah, Busi and I don't know, man.
I mean, that for Guzman really should have been, Restrepo should have been for Guzman. At least get some legs.
Well, let's say if you wanted to do that, but in the 81st minute, I would have put Restrepo on for Pekka, because he's, he can play midfield if you want to have him, have it in midfield, because you've already put the defense stronger with, with having Ibusi in. Yeah. You bring Restrepo up to where if there is an opportunity to go forward, you have that. Price is a young guy. He's a defensive guy, and he did a good job in the 10, 15 minutes he was out there. The issue is more the issue is this team. I won't say this coaching staff does not want to push the envelope for the fear of giving. You give up a goal, who cares? You lose. We're not going anywhere in the standing.
Look at the season exactly. You're not losing any fans.
But by these moves here, it just. It adds to the frustration of the fans, in my opinion, because we need points. We're at home. We can't do shit on the road, but yet and El Paso came in. They played a 4-2-3-1. They were packed in. The field conditions were what they were. They set back. They wanted a tie.
Yeah,
you could have kept pressing even with the man up to see if you can get a late goal, to see if you can get a knock in, to see if you can get another PK. And they didn't push for it. To me it was like a volleyball match where, here, let me kick it over to your side. Okay, you guys run it back down, and okay, here we'll play it back up, and it just.
Yeah, El Paso really did not impress me that much. Now, I know the field conditions were trash, and Rafa, you mentioned that they're kind of playing a different style, maybe because of that. But for them to be fifth in the league right now, or whatever they are, like when I saw them playing against San Antonio FC, I was like, this team is not that good.
See, and that's you scratch your head. It's like, how are these teams doing a way lot better than us? And I think we have talent, to play, to compete. But it's just bonehead mistakes, from the staff. Bad substitutions, bad formations, bad a lot of it has to do is a tactical, like Harry said, we're behind in points. We have to roll the dice. It's either sink or swim. Either get the 3 points or we don't get the 3 points. We can't be settling 1 point at home. On the road, maybe if it's maybe one of the upper teams, but as far as the lower teams, we need to be winning, getting 3 points from them and 3 points at every home game that we have. If not, this thing's going to be over, by August.
Oh, it'll be over well before then.
Well, we don't know that yet. I mean, it's still a pretty tight race when you look at the playoffs.
We're officially halfway at the year.
Well,
we're officially halfway in the season right now.
It's officially the halfway point. We've talked about forever. Yeah, we're only 3 points out of a playoff spot, but weeks keep going by and that gap keeps getting bigger, and it's not going to get easier to close. But there's still time to turn this thing around. I just don't know how willing San Antonio FC is going to be to turn it around. I mean, I think a lot of people at this point are looking for a coaching change. I don't know if that's going to happen this season. I know we've kind of speculated before the season started that, the midway point might be a period of reflection for him. We could see something then. We could see something kind of, in that month, what was it, at the end of May there, where they had some home games in a row, the kind of a couple key points in the season where San Antonio FC is going to make a coaching change, that might be the time to do it. Do you foresee them doing anything this season, Harry, as far as changing coaches goes now at this point?
No, and the reason why I say that is, today there were 2 coaches that were let go or stepped aside, however you want to word it, which is going to be the third on the year. So 2 in the West, Real Monarchs coach, Vasquez departed, and Switchbacks split with Titchu, who was the only manager in their 4.5-year season. So both of those were let go. Charlotte let go of their coach, I think about 2 weeks ago, somewhere around there, and they're 2-0-1 with their draw was on the road to Lou City. So even that was respectable, and they're starting to climb back up the thing there. But I sent a message out to 5 people that I respect on SAFC saying, with this happening, does that put pressure on PAL? And every single one of them said no. So, and these are guys that, that have background, that understand kind of the SAFC system and stuff, which then I think leads into probably more Scott's poll question, which I'll let him introduce here momentarily, and then also the interview from Tim Holt on Behind the Stripes that FCAFC puts out with Preston and Luis, which is a great show. I don't think they're going to make a change. Unless Coach Powell volunteers to step down, I don't even know if they make a change in the off season at this point. I think, just if you listen to the interview with Tim Holt, it makes you wonder about some things. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, it doesn't make you wonder about some things. We've been wondering about some things for this whole season. Like, are we a professional franchise, or what exactly is the identity of San Antonio FC, and as you kind of alluded to there with the most recent Behind the Stripes podcast where they sat down and kind of interviewed Tim Holt, I was able to get through about 15, maybe 20 minutes of it before I had to turn it off because, you know, it was the same stuff that you've heard. And I guess my issue is at the beginning of this season, and we talked about it on this show, Tim Holt looked at every fan, whether it was at the Crocketeers supporter group, season ticket member thing or whatever,
18.
whether it was at the painting thing in the tunnel before, you know, when we were getting all fired up for the season. This is our year. We expect results, was what he said. No excuses. We expect results this season. Your results are you're currently 15th. You just had a chance to sit down and talk about where you guys are in terms of San Antonio FC, the things that you've accomplished, what your plan was, and you want to talk about things about how you're ahead of schedule on the social media end and brand recognition. What about on the pitch? You haven't advanced. You haven't gotten any better on the field. You haven't done anything differently this year than what you've done the previous seasons. So what was all this bullshit at the beginning of the year about we expect results this season or else? Or else what? You're going to go give Coach Powell a stern talking to and put him in timeout for 5 minutes? Get the fuck out of here, dude. That's bullshit. If what you're going to do is sit there and stick to your coach and everything and become this academy team, which those are his words. He talked about the things that they've gained through their academy program and the development and all of the progress that they've made, which I agree with. But when the star performer of your San Antonio's football club is your academy program, you have a problem. What do these academy kids hope to grow up and do? Play for San Antonio FC, their city, who's currently sitting at the bottom of the table? Or learn and grow and continue to develop, say thank you, San Antonio, adios. And that's why I say we still do not know what the identity is of San Antonio's football club, which is why they don't have a nickname, Harry. If you,
yeah, that bothered me.
I knew you were going to take issue with that.
That bothered me. The other thing, oh, go ahead, Rafa.
Yeah, another issue, like when you mentioned, Scott, about the accountability, you know, not making changes is also making changes with the roster. You know, I'm sure there are players out there that we can bring in to make a statement to the other players. I'll give you a perfect example because we actually played them for the U.S. Cup. It was the Laredo Heat. I was reading into them. They let go 8 of their players because they weren't getting results. So they made a big splash to motivate the other guys and say, well, you know, everyone is expendable here. You know, and if it's kind of worked for them a bit, they're still in playoff contention. But for us, I think we need to do is go out there, find some players to challenge these guys and make it more competitive. All right, either you're going to be sitting on the bench or you're going to do something.
But I think you're seeing that though. I think you're seeing that, but not the way that you're thinking.
Yeah.
Because do you think Lane's coming back? I don't think he is. I don't with some of his ending. Didn't Barnby, when he leave, kind of have that Chris Tierpak walk off where he just took the jersey off and just hightailed it to the locker room? And I know he was right there in frustration. I expect him back. But to me, I saw Chris Tierpak do that same thing where he took his jersey before he left the pitch and walked off.
I said, fuck it.
And he just didn't have that. You know, you could just tell he was like, okay, that's fine. I'm done. No arguing about the call. And it was a 50-50 call, you know. But what they're doing is instead of bringing in, and we talked about this the last show, instead of bringing in quality USL players, they're promoting from the academy. And they're using that as hey, this is a success. But I don't see it as a success because you're trying, you know, it's great for the local kids, you know, that aside. But we're trying to win games in the USL Championship. We're not USL League One. You're a Division II team. The other thing that struck me, and you know, I don't want to take him out of his words, but he mentioned that he wanted to help promote San Antonio players, not necessarily San Antonio FC, and he kind of self-corrected him on that. I don't know if you caught that, He said, we want to do great for San Antonio FC, but more important for the San Antonio soccer players, which then turns around to lead. You wonder what's kind of behind door number 2, because there's got to be something behind the door that they're not telling us on why they're not investing into this into this team, in my opinion.
Into their professional team,
not
into the academy.
Team. In the academy, they're doing a great job. Yeah. They're 10 out of 10 on that. But there's some disconnect that's happening right now, and I don't know. I think you got a little bit of insight from Mr. Holt that, as you mentioned, the academy seems to be their priority over the first team, and you got to kind of wonder why. And like I said here, there's a team that's coming up the road, MLS in 2021. They have not announced any affiliations, and I know we give shit to RGV. I've always wondered this because I've been around since the Scorpions. I've been around with Mr. Hartman. I've been in the meetings with him where it was just us, a few of Crocketeers, a few of Bear County Casuals, going way back there. And and Mr. Hartman said from Mr. Garber, the MLS commissioner, that only San Antonio or Austin is getting a team, not both. And I know Garber's, hey, I've never said that. I believe Mr. Hartman,
Garber.
9 years ago, when there was no expansion battle, where it's at that time, everybody knew it was Austin or San Antonio. It's been that way for that time. And I'm sorry, I still think, and this is my tinfoil hat, for it here, right? I got it right here now. My tinfoil hat here, that I do believe that it would not shock me that you're going to see San Antonio and Austin somehow come together, and it's going to be more so that way SS&E can still keep Austin and San Antonio together and still keep a portion of that relationship together.
You heard it here first.
Being part of the Broccoli FC.
The Broccoli FC.
I don't know if it'll happen, but
you just wonder with the setup. Like, you just have to wonder with the setup because, the way that they've developed the academy program, and like you say, they've done some great things there. Coach Evans has done some great things there. Tim Holt's done, and I'm sure Coach Powell's done some great things there. But what you told us as fans is completely different than
what you're doing.
And then what you're doing and your whole path that you're trying to create for this thing. I mean, it frustrates me to no end because if you're going to sit there, and Tim Holt's never really done that before, now I know every coach and every owner is going to say, hey guys, this year we're going to do it, yay. But it just felt a little bit different. It felt like they were serious, like they meant business. They wanted results. People were going to be on the hot seat this season. They weren't happy with the way things were last season. Now it seems like the only people on the hot seat have been front office people because their social media presence is awesome. The highlight videos are getting better. Like you said, they're ahead of schedule when it comes to brand recognition, which I will agree 100% on. But if your biggest concern is where you guys are in terms of your schedule for your brand recognition, I mean, I've never ran a professional franchise before, but usually I thought the point of having a professional sports team was to try and win trophies. But I guess I could be wrong.
Well, winning games and trophies is your brand recognition because you look at the top teams. Real Madrid, it's got 13 championships in the Champions League. That's recognition there, but they earn the social media recognition because of that. No one cares about Everton or. I mean, what have they won as far as, UCLs or that? It's what you do as far as winning championships. That is something that you notice, like in MLS, like the LAFC, they want to make a statement to be the best team in LA. They're first place and their conference. They're really shooting to, I think that's what we're not doing. We're not making a mark. If you were going to, like I mentioned about Lang, why else? He's just sitting there on the bench not doing anything, or if he doesn't want to be here, let's get some players out that maybe do want to come here and make
I think he's hurt. And I think this, to me, this comes back in I put it on my Twitter, and it's something that I don't think anybody will admit to. Them re-signing Billy Forbes was their first huge mistake this season. And I know Billy's great in the community. I know, he's great, but you already had Lang in his position. Lang and Billy do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And you putting him on the other side, it didn't work because you brought in Gomez. And then, unfortunately, Gomez got hurt. But why would Lang come back? And I know, I know we've heard that there's rumors that the locker room isn't the greatest thing with Coach Powell as far as for his communication. And I just have to wonder if it's something along those lines with Lang, where he re-signed after being the it guy from last season, coming in late, doing really well, to a rotational with Billy Forbes, who, if you're honest, if you take away his positive personalities, his history with San Antonio, what has Billy done outside of the first cutback goal against Phoenix? What has he really done? He hasn't.
He hasn't done it since the last time he was here. That's two seasons ago. And
he didn't do it in Phoenix. He had the one goal against Phoenix at the start of the season. And I like Billy. He's a great guy personally. And Coach Powell's a great guy. And I hate sounding like all negative against him. But when you're looking at it as a team and what's making it work, you just kind of wonder, with bringing him in with all the, with all the players that they already had in his position, because Barmby plays that position too. That's where his natural position is. Mm-hmm. You just.
Well, I like Coach Powell too, but Coach Powell's probably cut a kid before, and told him, hey man, it's just soccer, like it's nothing against you as a person or anything like that. But I guarantee you, Coach Powell's had to cut players before, and so if he were going to get cut, you know what I mean, like for not performing, he should be the first to understand it's nothing personal, that it's just about performance and what you're doing on the pitch. So
you asked the question, Scott. Do you think he goes anywhere?
I think they write it out, man. I think at this point it's evident. I think if they were going to do it, there's been more than ample opportunities to do it already, and you haven't done it yet. I don't know what it's going to take for them to change. Obviously, the decline.
To me, this is the last window. This is the last window. If they're going to make a change, it's going to depend on the result here. I think they need the 3 points. I think a tie or a loss, I think Powell should be gone personally.
Oh, a tie will buy himself
another. The question is, will they do it? And nobody believes they will.
I think it's going to take maybe a real serious loss. I think like a 6-0, 5-0 loss.
Nah,
we've had those even already. I mean, not 5 or 6, but 4-0. I mean,
you were at the Open Cup match. They were embarrassed off the field.
See, that's where should have been the final straw there.
You'd think so, and that's why I say at this point.
He really did not, show any emotion on that game. He just didn't care. He just had his hand like this. I'm like, motivate your team. He's not. That's what I see. I don't know if he's at the type, that kind of, hey, get it in gear and so forth.
And then in the locker room is where he fires them up.
I think to me the players are pretty much giving up on it, and they just don't give a crap.
Well, you saw Guzman's goal celebration where he ran over there to Coach Racina.
Yeah. I did see that.
That to me right there, if that doesn't say enough to you when your leading goal scorer, your head forward, or whatever you want to call him, is celebrating with your assistant coach instead of you, that to me says something.
So here, in like, I don't know. This is what, if I was Coach Powell, this is what I would do. Because I think he's going to run into a position where, because he's the technical director, as we found out, and the coach. If you continue coaching and technical director, at some point they're going to cut you both off. So if you can say, okay, hey, and like I said, it would take a big set of balls to do this. Say, hey, the team isn't working for me. It just, I need to step back. Let's see if somebody else, because I think everybody agrees the talent is there. At least on paper, the talent is there. Now, why it isn't gelling? That's
our roster is no different than any other USL roster, basically, in terms of talent.
So, but if he can step back and let Coach Marcina or whoever step in, I'm assuming Coach Marcina would be the logical choice
for interim
to see what he can do for the rest of the year. Then it may save his job as being the technical director, and then you can kind of review, hey, is it, we're on pace with the academy, which is the priority. We've got to improve the on-field. Let me step back so that way I'm not wearing two hats. I'm only wearing one. Let's give Coach Marcina a chance. See if it turns around, because typically a coaching change, there's a slight bump. See if we can start get some positive momentum to overcome. There's no denying San Antonio's had shit luck this year. It's, just with the refs, injuries, and stuff like that. To see if you can kind of turn the ship around. If not, he could be out of both. And like I said here, I don't know if he'd have the balls to do it. That would be one way to still maybe kind of save face and see if, because no offense to Coach Marcina, but, all of us that are wanting him, remember him coming in 2014 and taking us to the title.
Yeah.
That was 5 years ago. He did all right in Rayo. He made the playoffs, didn't really win anything, and that was another shit job. He did okay in Des Moines. So, but he's, let's see if he's still got it, if he's got that magic. You could still, Coach Powell could still have kind of his thumbprint to kind of help, hey, this is how I have it. But
in the locker room or on the practice field where he seems to excel.
So I think that might work. And to me, obviously it seems like Coach Marcina has a great relationship with the team. To see if you can kind of capitalize that and see, hey, was it Coach Powell? Or if it wasn't Coach Powell and it's just, the players that they brought in just didn't work, then that's a whole separate discussion, because your two top players that you brought in, Didic is in Edmonton, playing in the Canadian Premier League. Lang has been out for 3-4 weeks, with an injury, and hopefully he gets healed. But I don't have no confidence that he's coming back. He isn't as active as he was on social media before out here in town. So to me, that would be kind of a way to see if he can buy his job, because at some point it's got to come to head on Coach Powell. You're either going to cut him off from both, and then if you do that, you're taking a setback on the academy, you'd think, right? Because if he's the technical director, doesn't he also help control that?
Well, then there, I think you probably move up Nick. I think Nick's done a great job with that.
Oh yeah.
I think that'd probably be the logical choice, is moving up Nick, to that position. But it also depends if they do bring in someone new. What direction, what vision they have as far as, with academy and also with the first team. So it's kind of like Pandora's box. We don't know what's going to happen or what we're going to end up getting.
But I think this offseason will be a very interesting one when it comes to Austin FC. I think because they're a year away from starting. They haven't announced it. They've got a young academy that they're starting, I think 09, 010, somewhere around there. So they're building a couple of years out. But you figure they're going to start signing players at some point. You got to hire a coach first. But they've got to have some sort of affiliation or something to go through. And as we speak today, I highly doubt that's the Bolt.
Yeah.
I don't. Unless, and I know Epstein seems to be on the surface trying to be a little bit more. I saw, online that he took out, hey, we support soccer on, MLS and, all of the leagues. And to give him credit, him hosting, FC Austin Elite at Bold Stadium and not charging anybody, to come in or park, I think it is a good olive branch to start. But, short of something changing major, I don't see Austin FC and Austin Bold. I think we have a 90% chance better of being the second team or the hybrid team to Austin FC than the Bold does.
Well, you've heard our conspiracy theories this evening.
I got my tinfoil hat.
We got tin hats. We got homemade shirts. It's just it's been a kind of an interesting episode of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable tonight. But let's wrap this thing up as we always do. A very crucial match on Wednesday there at Toyota Field against Austin Bold. The first of a few now coming up. We got that one, and then Cardiff, and then Orange County, and before we've got another regular Saturday night home game. But Rafa, give us your final thoughts for this evening's episode.
Like I said, I'm looking forward for Wednesday's game. The guys gotta get some payback. Or 0-3-1 in the Copa Tejas is like, hey, have some pride and let's get one back at least. Especially from those guys and
at home.
Yeah, maybe hopefully, like I said, this will be a jump start to maybe a push. Hope we just. I guess we're hoping and praying that it does. But every week we kind of been saying that for the last few weeks for that. But hopefully that's what I'm predicting. I think we get a win, a close one. I think we get one, maybe a 2-1 win. It's going to be a fun game.
Oh yeah, it's gonna. Here's
the question: is Cardone goal? He hasn't been yet.
You're gonna have to. I mean, if Paul's worried about his reputation against Restrepo,
because Restrepo is gonna be there.
Oh yeah. That's it. I'm opening up Photoshop right now. Harry, you just gave me an idea.
I mean, this is a game that you need points. You're not gonna go with a backup. Maybe, for a U.S. Cup. This is a league game.
They've did it before.
I don't know what he's afraid of. If he's going to be, because he's proven wrong that I got rid of the wrong keeper. This is not the game for that.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? It's not even that. That's kind of, I guess, the other thing too that kind of irks me sometimes when people get upset over Cardone versus Diego. It's like, it's not like we let Diego go. Diego blew up at a fan on Twitter and basically said, "Go fuck yourself. I can't wait until I'm not here next season. Good luck. Bye." And everybody's like, well, why do we get rid of Restrepo and keep Cardone? Because he basically said, F you, San Antonio FC fans. I'm out. Bye. There's your reason.
There's no secret on why he left.
Brief history lesson, just in case people forgot that, because it seems like they have. But that will be an interesting matchup.
My final thought is also SAFC related, but something that we didn't touch base on. SAFC, you're down, I believe from my count, or from my understanding, 3 season ticket representatives for it here. You're coming up to the most pivotal time of the season where you're talking about renewals. Kind of circling about how things aren't looking good. To me, this is a red flag for that as well here, as far as, I understand if you're given other opportunities, and I expect that position has a high turnover, don't get me wrong, but to have 3 leave mid-season, or in mid-season right before you're starting your season ticket renewal push, because that's going to be coming probably July, August time frame generally, and you're going to bring in new reps, and like I said, San Antonio's got quality workers. It's not that. It's that trust that you got between your ticket rep and through there. That's got to be fixed quick. And from my understanding, there's been some season ticket members that have been weeks, if not a month or so, without a season ticket representative. That's something that you got to do better on.
I think I gotta ask for a new season ticket rep. Like, do you call these people up and just shoot the shit with them, or I don't even know the name of my season ticket rep.
I send them messages and stuff like that. It's Andres used to check with me every month, and I don't know if it's just because I'm so loud and I'm not afraid to say something. Obviously, as you can see tonight, I'm not afraid to say stuff that's on my mind, and I'll do that on social media. Now I won't add them directly, but I've gotten calls and saying, "Hey, we saw your post. Is everything okay?" Blah 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 blah. So I do know that even if you don't tag them, that they are looking, for it here. And if it is something that catches their attention, and 9 out of 10 of it's, it's Harry, just let him go.
He'll settle down tomorrow morning.
Nobody responds to Harry anyways. No likes, no nothing. Everybody's got him probably muted. Oh, it's Harry. Mute. So
he'll bitch on the round table and then get over it. It'll be okay.
Now that you mentioned that, I don't know if you got an email about the STM meet the team day for July 11th.
Oh, I didn't see that here. Did that just come out today, or?
Yeah, that's on July 11th at the Main Event Entertainment from 7 to 10 to RSVP for the STM Meet the Team Day.
Oh, nice. So, but to me, that's something that I know it's something small, but when you start, to me, I'd rather lose season ticket, the representatives at the beginning of the year when season starts. When you're getting this time here, and I know Miguel does a great job, but you've got to have your horses lined up so that way it's already going to be challenging enough with all the bitching that you hear from people on social media about, hey, do I really want to invest in other season tickets? It's already going to be hard enough, let alone starting out with somebody brand new that's new to it and doesn't have that relationship and that history. So, but that's my final thought. Like I said here, and the final thing here, please, I know it's up in Austin, but if we can go out and support the Athenians, like I said, it's the last, it's their last regular season game for it here, and like I said here, they do put out a good product, and I know Austin Elite up in Austin's very active, like the Athenians are. So I think that could be a really great rivalry, and especially where it's sandwiched in between the third place and the final of the Women's World Cup going up there. And I do know if you check out the Athenians at one of the St. Kitto's Theater, they're going to have that third place watch party for seats first come first serve. I believe that kicks off at 10 o'clock. So it's something that if we can go out and support, I know it's 90 minutes away, but I think it'll be a fun game.
Well, there you go. We got another edition of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. So I'm just looking forward to seeing you guys out there at Toyota Field on Wednesday. And, it's like I think I enjoyed hanging out with Coach Rankin a little bit more than what was going on the field that last match. So sometimes...
What's funny, I got up and left because you said, hey, I want to go sit down. You never came back down.
Wait, I left my friend Otanis was meeting me over there for the second half, and I felt bad because I just left him sitting over there the whole time. But that's what happens when you get to talking soccer sometimes.
Coach Rankin and I got to spend some time with the Alamo City coach Rick here. Both of them are class acts, and with John at the UPSL level. Like I said here, I really like the coaches that we have in the area. Unfortunately, I don't have much communication with. The Sporty, and Corinthians. Don't really have much of a relationship with them as of yet, but I do know that if you are a young soccer player that aspires to go to college or in college looking for a team to play, they do treat their players fairly well, and like I said here, it's I'm proud of what they've done in this first year, and hopefully going forward next year it'll be a little bit more stable in the UPSL.
And we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more, in one of these off-season podcasts or something like that. So definitely still going to be some UPSL news and stuff like that. And the great thing about lower league soccer is before you know it, the fall season will be starting, so we'll be doing it all over again. But Rafa, hi Harry, thanks for joining us or joining me tonight and everything. This has been another episode of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. We out.